Alright, what is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. I really appreciate you tuning in today. We are back here in my 2006, roll these up for a second. Back here in the 2006 Nissan 350z, and I mean, this thing rips, you guys. Like, I just wanted to say real quick, like, oh man. Oh, a pine cone. I think we're so low that we would actually scrape on that pine cone. So it's a good thing we dodged it. It's a good thing we dodged it. So I wanted to do something a little bit different today. If you guys saw about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I had you guys ask a whole bunch of questions in the community section of the channel. And we're gonna be kind of doing a Q&A today, but we got about 35 questions. Because there's so many, I'm probably gonna make this a multiple part video. So probably a part 1 and a part 2, or maybe I'll just keep doing them as long as you guys keep asking questions and stuff. But if you guys are new here, please consider hitting the subscribe button. I just finished painting this Nissan 350z over at the shop Auto Body and Paint. They did an amazing job, and it was so awesome that they were able to help us. Oh yeah. So the very first question I wanted to talk about is from Trevor here. I'm gonna put it up on the screen. The question says, how much did I buy the Z for? How many miles did it have? Was there anything wrong with it? And was it private sale or dealership? So I actually picked up this Z for $8,000 2.5 years ago. And 2.5 years ago, even $8,000 for a 350Z was honestly kind of high. You could find them for around $6,000, but clean title is still kind of hard to find for around $6,000. And this one actually has a clean title. It's got the manual transmission. The car did have 60,000 original miles on it, which is another reason why it was a little bit higher. And I've already put 24,000 miles on it since then. So it's sitting at 84,540 right now. And honestly, that is still extremely low. And I feel terrible putting these miles on this car because 60,000 miles on a 350Z is insanely low when I picked it up, and I knew we were gonna rack up the miles in this thing. I just had to accept it. And I actually answered a comment pretty recently, and it was, the person was saying how they just got a 35th anniversary 350Z. It had 28,000 kilometers on it when they bought it, and they put 10,000 kilometers on it already, and they feel terrible racking up the miles. But the truth is, if you do not put the miles on the car, somebody else will. That's just the facts of it. Someone else is gonna buy the car. They're gonna be able to drive the car 2 or 3 times more than what they would normally be able to drive a higher mileage example. So that's the exact recipe for, if you don't drive your car and you let it sit there, somebody else is gonna acquire it and drive it. Those are just the facts. So go out and drive your car. Stop, you know, babying it. I mean, you can baby it when you drive it, but don't let it be a garage queen and gather a whole bunch of dust, man. These cars are meant to be driven. But I actually got it private sell. I found it on Craigslist. And the guy was super cool. He was about my age. You never really know how people your age, like when you're young, are gonna maintain the car. Luckily, it had no issues. I mean, I've gotten really lucky with this car, knock on wood. The only issue I've actually had is I replaced the thermostat a few months ago, or actually about a year ago at this point. And I did 1 coil pack, and I did a set of spark plugs because I had a misfire. But other than that, the car's been, I mean, extremely reliable, and I have no complaints, like, seriously. Thank you, Trevor, so much for your comment. I hope I answered all your questions. All right, so question number 2 comes from Doug Vargo, and it says, have you ever almost lost control of the Z and had to DK your way out of it? DK obviously is the main drift king from Fast and Furious, if you guys aren't familiar. You know, actually, this car is so balanced, and maybe it's just because we don't have any sort of LSD or welded diff, and it's an open diff, but the car is so balanced and the steering is so precise. There really hasn't been a time I can recall where I actually almost was scared about crashing the car and had to drift out of it or like save it. I mean, I've definitely pulled the e-brake. Oh yeah. Nothing I've ever been actually scared of. As far as like driving fast and like the accuracy of driving fast, I guess, this car is great. Like if you have the proper suspension, which I don't, I have lowering springs, I need coilovers, soon enough, you guys, soon enough. But if you guys have the proper suspension, I mean, these things will rip the canyons, no problem. Honestly, the only time you ever really have to like DK your back into a better situation is if you're purposely trying to overstep the limits of the car, which in a rainy situation or even in a dry situation are not very hard to do in this thing. So, but thank you so much, Doug Vargo, for your question. I really appreciate you. And our third question is from Evan Rogers. He actually asks, if we plan on doing any like large performance mods to the car, or if we plan on staying kind of a show or style build where we just, you know, slam it, maybe throw a wide body kit on it or something. I've done a lot of thinking about this, and personally, I'm really interested in supercharging this 350Z. A lot of people say, you know, the turbo kit is definitely the way to go because you can get more power out of it and stuff like that. But I've honestly just heard that the reliability of a supercharged 350Z is pretty good, and you can get a solid amount of power out of it still. So that's obviously super enticing, and I love the sound of superchargers, even though I love the sound of turbos. Like, you really can't beat the turbo spool. Another reason is just, I feel like there's not very many people out here that are supercharging 350Zs right now. A lot of people just go straight to turbo kits, and I mean, there's 100% reason for that. Turbo kits are insane, but supercharging is definitely another route that's a little more reliable, I've heard. So I'm definitely going to be looking into that in the future. And you guys, I don't even know where we're at right now. We're just driving around. That's a dead end, so we're not going that way. Let me know in the comments if you guys just drive around aimlessly. Like, I love driving around in places I've never been. So, you know, it's always fun seeing new roads and just new areas. And like, sometimes you roll across just like awesome picture spots. So you never really know. We squeeze through, we're gonna do it. Whew, that was a close one. I think we literally just went into this neighborhood and did a lap and left. So we're gonna go back this way. Should we give it the sauce? Yes. I mean, this thing sounds so good for just a muffler delete. I mean, it's not the loudest, but it's got a really clean tone. So thank you so much, Evan Rogers, for your comment. I definitely do plan on supercharging this thing or something in the future. Definitely gonna give it some more thought. And our last question, I'll throw it up right here, is from Danny. He asked, what is the very first mod you recommend for a new owner or a first owner for a 350Z? Honestly, you have to go exhaust. Like, these cars are awesome right out of the box, you guys. Like, they're fast, they have the looks. All it's missing is the sound, and taking the muffler off, like we were just saying, is a cheap alternative to getting, you know, a full $900 exhaust or something, and it sounds great. I'll show you right after this turns green. But for the price, I seriously paid $215 for this exhaust, and we utilized the stock tips, so I didn't have to pay for those, and tips are honestly like $20 a piece, so that's even not too bad either. So I don't think you can go wrong. Especially like in the time being. Like, if you plan on getting a Tome or an ISR exhaust someday in the future, I mean, doing a muffler delete until you have saved up enough money for one of those, or until you find one that's available, doing a muffler delete in the time being is gonna be it's gonna be worth it, that's for sure, you know, compared to the stock 350Z. So personally, I would do the exhaust, and then if you have money left over, definitely the second thing would be suspension. These cars are awesome, but once you lower them a little bit, I mean, the handling it's just next level handling once you put suspension on these cars. Once you get some of the body weight down a little bit lower to the ground and you put some quality suspension on these cars, they just handle so well. So that's obviously the second thing I would do. But anyways, thank you so much, Danny, for your comment. And I think this video is getting a little long, so I'm probably gonna end it here, you guys. If you guys like these POV drives where we just drive around and I answer your questions, go ahead and leave some down in the comments below and I'll answer them in another video. Oh man, or head to the community section and leave your question down in the community tab somewhere. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really appreciate you being here today. Drop a thumbs up and a subscribe if you haven't yet already, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.